What's up, everybody? How you feeling? How you doing? How you be? DK2 here. I'm at the DMV. I'm stuck here for a while, so really been meaning to hop on here and talk about adult family homes. I had no idea there was so many comments that people had questions, so I just apologize. I started focusing on my books and just forgot all about the adult family home side of this YouTube video, which is really the reason why I created it. Anyways, let's talk about the finances. Let's talk about transparency there. At some point, they'll have you fill out a fiscal report. Don't get too worried about the numbers on there that you send off to the state, because though they'll pay attention to the numbers, they won't really affect your real numbers in real life. It's not like the state is going to send that over to the management care organization and say, hey, this is what he said he's going to do. So you don't have to worry about that connection. Though your fiscal report should make some sense to it, those numbers don't have to be all the way precise. For example, they may say, how much are you going to spend for staff? You can put down $20 an hour. Now, you may not pay your staff $20 an hour. You know, you may only be able to afford to pay them $15 an hour. So now when it comes to the management care organization that you're dealing with, they will base the amount of money they give you on how much you're paying your staff. They'll never really ask for proof of that. I mean, they can't ask you to send over people's W-2s and stuff like that, or look at people's payroll checks. Or at least I've never had anybody ask me, but the contractor will say, hey, how much do you pay your staff an hour? And then they'll configure those numbers. So when doing a contract with a management care organization, there's two different ways that I've ran into. One is where once they come in and they license the whole place, then you reach out to the management care organization and they say, yep, we would contract with you. Then they'll have somebody else call you to talk about numbers. They'll say, hey, what do you think? We're thinking like $180 a day for your establishment. And this is when you can start highlighting things about your place. You can start saying like, well, we're in a really nice neighborhood. You know, we are really close to a park. We're close to an ice cream shop that's down the street. You know, just highlight your area. Even if you have to exaggerate a little bit, if it's in distance of what you want, you know, just talk about it. Because again, it's not like the contractor is going to go look up your GPS and find out exactly where your home is. So if you have access to these places, you know, let them know. Talk about your house, because remember, they're not the ones who saw your house. The person who came out to contract with you saw your house. Now, the person who came out to contract with me, a really good guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he loved the house. He was like, oh, this is one of the best houses I've seen, and blah, blah, blah. He went on and on, because we like actually configured the house for this reason. So we tore down walls. We, you know, made a bathroom into a bedroom and all that kind of stuff. And I don't necessarily recommend all of that. But it was we had that opportunity because it was a house fire. Anyways, I was able to tell the contractor, like, hey, yeah, it looks nice because we remodeled the entire house for this purpose. So the contractor loves it. Not the contractor. So the guy who made I'm losing myself. The person who came into the home and gave us a thumbs up to have a contract with them loved it. But that doesn't mean he said anything to the person who I'm speaking to about money. So I had to paint them this picture and say, hey, even when the guy came out, he said this is one of the best houses he's ever seen. You know, I talked about the grab bars that we put in there. I talked about the tile we put down, the skylight that we had in there, and all kind of stuff. So highlight your home when you're talking to the contractor. You don't have to take that first rate that they give you. You might be really hungry, really anxious to get going, get started. You might hear a number and be like, okay, we'll take it. You know, $200 a day. Well, you can say, well, we plan on having people who are non-ambulatory here. So they're going to have wheelchairs and things like that. And then the contractor said, well, okay, how many staff are you going to have there? And I said, we plan on having 2 staff members there. Excuse me. I'm not editing nothing. I'm just blowing through. Sorry for that. So the contractor said, hey, if you're going to have 2 people there, we could talk some different numbers. How much are you planning on paying your staff? And I was like, $13, $14 an hour. I was pretty new at the time. I wouldn't give that number now. Now I would give a higher number. Now I do give a higher number, and I do pay more. So then she'll kind of base everything off of that. And depending on the management care organization, they will add in extra things like, okay, paying your staff this, you have this kind of home, this kind of area, blah, blah, blah. How about we do $250 a day? Now, per person. Now, that's a great rate for us, for me. I think that if you could average your house at $1,000 a day, you're winning. That'll be really great. So you have 4 residents there, $250 a pop. That gets you there. If you're, sorry for the stall. If you have a bed, like a 3-bedroom house, and you plan on having a 4th person in that bedroom, that used to work in the past, and it doesn't really work that well now, in my opinion, because there's so many homes that people would choose to just have their own room, private room, instead of sharing a room with somebody else. So unless you have a couple or somebody who just likes company, it's a tough sell. Not impossible, but it's a tough sell. So let's say you have a home with 3 people, and the home is a decently rated home. That's another thing you could tell them. You could say, hey, we only have 3 bedrooms here, and we don't plan on having a 4th member. We want everybody to have their own private rooms. That too may make them bump up the rate a little bit. And you can say we plan on taking residents who have a little bit more, a little more challenging. Say you or someone close to you is a nurse. You can say, we have a nurse on staff. We have a transportation company. So you can kind of talk about other things that you plan to add on, and they'll kind of consider that, like, okay, well, let's give you a higher rate, because that's really what you want. You want to get more of a rate like, I don't know, like $300 a day if you're only getting 3 residents with 3 bedrooms. And they'll do that. They will rock with you. But you got to sell them on, and remember, they're putting this in their system too. So if you're saying you only got 3 beds and you're only going to have 3 private bedrooms, and they base your rate on that, they're legitimately not going to let you take in the 4th resident, which might be okay. Another problem is, like, with that, you'll have residents who are actually harder. And let's say you have a little old lady. She's in a wheelchair. She just needs some help. And you have an open bed. When the case management, when that team calls you, when that team calls you, they'll ask about your place, say, it won't come out. Appreciate it, thank you. So when they call you, you might go do the assessment, everything. They'd be like, oh yeah, everything's perfect, you'll take her, blah, blah, blah. Then when they see your rate, they'll be like, oh, your rate's so high. Like $300 a day, we could have put her somewhere for $150 a day. And then ultimately her team won't let them approve it. Like once they go to their supervisors and stuff, the supervisors will be like, nah, find somewhere else that's cheaper. So that matters too. You're not gonna get just your average little old lady. You're gonna get somebody who might have like a colostomy bag to change. You might have somebody who's severe diabetic, who has a really, you have to manage that stuff, and maybe they're a little more difficult about taking their meds. You might have to take somebody who has some mild behaviors, something like that. So keep that in mind when you sell yourself on a 3-bedroom. Otherwise, you can have a 4th person in your 3-bedroom. That's not an easy person to find. As far as the cost of, so let's just stay there for a second. So you want to get a home that gives you a rate somewhere above $200, in between $200 and $300 a day. That's, I think, is pretty solid. Even if you have a home that's just ambulatory, where people are walking around, it's just only one staff member, that's cool. But you still want to have a rate that's closer to 200, if not above 200. If you have anything lower than that, it's probably because you're like a live-in or something. Don't be a live-in. Unless you plan on living in there your entire life. They're going to base your rate based on you saying you live there too. And they're going to absolutely that cut your rate almost in half. So don't ever say that, in my opinion, if you don't plan on living there forever, because it's not like they're going to change the rate when you move out. They won't. So if they ask, hey, are you living there at the place? Say no. Now, I think it's awesome if you actually do live in your home when you first get it started. I think it's great. You'll save a lot of money on staff, and you'll save, you'll be there at your home taking care of your baby. So that's phenomenal. If you can make that happen, do it. But I'm sure it's not going to be for a long period of time. It'll be somewhat short-lived, especially as you get more residents in there. You're going to want to eventually use your bedroom as a bed for the resident. So don't, even if you have like a live-in staff member, which again, that could change. I found live-in staff members before, and it works for a little while, and then, something goes wrong and they're stealing from you or something like that, and before you know it, you can't have them as a live-in. So don't say you have a live-in. You can say you work there as an owner, that's fine, but not owner occupied. Make sure this video is not too long. So that's one way of getting your home contracted, like as far as the numbers go. Let's talk about how much money you would make. To me, with one bed full, you're just losing money. Get used to that. It's going to happen the whole time. That's when you should be working as yourself as much as you can, because there's no way you can afford the staff for a long period of time. And who knows, it might be a while before you get another resident. Two, and I will make another video that kind of talks about assessing a resident, if you should take them or not. And especially in the early phase, it's like, hey, I need some money. I need a resident. Be careful with that. We'll talk about that another time. With 2 beds full, you pay the bills. You can pay your rent, your energies bill. You can pay your internet, all of that. You can pay your staff. You're not going to have any money left over, and it won't include anything that come up, any incidentals. It won't cover that. It'll just cover the bills. No profit. A 3rd bed should bring you some profit. Once you get a 3rd resident, that should bring you some profit. The whole thing won't be profit. So let's just say on average, a resident who makes $250 a day in a 30-day month will make, I don't know, I don't want to stop this and do my calculator, and I never was good at math. But, residents, you make a solid, like, I don't know, $5,000, $6,000 a month per resident, somewhere around there. So you got that first resident, let's just use 5,000 because it's simple math. You got first resident for 5,000, second resident for 10,000, 3rd resident is bringing 15,000. Well, your bills might come to like 11,000, somewhere around there, 10, 11. So now it opens the door for you to cover your bills and have a little extra. But that extra goes pretty fast. You're only talking about a couple $1,000s. Plus, you want to put something away in savings. You can have your taxes you should have to pay. You have employee taxes, business taxes. Got to pay workers' comp. These are all bills that kind of just come up and hit you, especially the workers' comp. They'll just say, hey, even if you didn't have anybody injured ever, I've never had somebody who used workers' comp for us, but every year they just say, even though you didn't use it at all last year, we noticed that you increased your staff. So, last year it was 10,000 we wanted. This year it's going to be 20,000. Like, what? For last year. And now let's talk about the 20,000 you're going to owe for this year. Like, that's how they hit you. They don't care that I didn't use any of your services. What are you talking about? Well, we didn't know you had so many staff members. It was last year. Like, we don't care. $20,000, please. I mean, it's there. It's real. So this year it hit us for 45,000. We budgeted for 25,000. We thought that was on the high end. It hit us for 45,000 this year. So it's real. So with 3 people in your bed, you're not really making too much money, if anything. Maybe $1,000 or something like that. The 4th bed is really the key, or a full house is the key. Because a full house might be 3 beds for you. That's cool. At $300 a day, $310, $320, you're making $1,000 a day at your house. That's the goal. Try to get to $1,000 a day at your house, and you'll be winning. Now, if you come shy of that, if you're at $850, that's cool. If you're at $1,100, that's great. But try to get you close to $1,000 a day as you can. That 4th bed will do it. All that 4th bed should be all profit. And what I mean by profit is just that should be what you can split up with your partner. It should be some take home, but even that, some of that needs to be saved. And you're going to have things that just come up, So you're going to give bonuses to the staff. You're going to have to shell out a lot of cash just for people to get into work, and you're constantly Ubering people to work, and it's all those kind of little things, buying food because the food ran out. This broke, that broke. You need a new couch, you need a TV. I mean, it's going to be something every single month. That I can promise you. Be every single month for a very long time. Where you have to dump more money into the business. So this is stuff you want to talk about when you're contracting. You want to make sure the contractor knows, and like, listen, this is gonna cost us a lot of money, and I want to make sure we have the right rate because we want to take it in the right clients. So have a conversation with them, and don't just fold. You don't have to say okay, we'll take it. Which is what I did for our first house. We just took it. Our first house has the lowest rate of all our homes. By the second, third, fourth house, fifth house, we kind of knew better. No, we don't like that rate. Let's talk about something else. And it's all, at the end of the day, it all plans out. We all have budgets. They have a budget they have to operate under too. So you want to be flexible. You want to work with them. The other day, when my guys called me, like he has a home. He used to work. His wife used to work for us, and they have a home now. And I chop it up with both of them a lot. And he's always like, hey, they're trying to lower my rates because my residents are doing good. I'm like, yes, that's the tricky part about your behavioral tracking and your notes and things like that. What you're sending them off to them, it can actually hurt you if you're saying the wrong things, because even though you're doing a great job, you don't necessarily want them to know that the resident is doing so good that now instead of having 2 staff members, you only have to have 1 staff member there. And if you only have 1 staff member there, then they're like, hey, you don't need to pay you as much. So, yeah. Great job. Keep up the good work. Let's cut that rate in half. What? And that's exactly what happened. So he hit me like, man, they cut more. And then he's like, they keep pushing about this one person. I just keep not budge. I keep saying no. And he was asking me, was that a good idea or not? And I'm like, eventually you want to play ball because you can put your. I've had residents where, they'll call me and say, hey, you want this resident, blah, blah, blah. I'll say, why are they moving from their current location? And they'll be like, because the provider isn't happy with the rate, and if they're not getting a certain rate, they just don't want that client there anymore, or their rate is being lowered, so they don't want them there no more. I'm like, okay. And they end up coming with me and having a higher rate. But they did it because they make a point. Ain't nobody finna punk them and tell them oh, you know what? I don't like that. You gonna lower the rate over here? Then forget it. Then y'all come get him. Okay, they'll come get him. And they'll give them to somebody like me, and then they already know what kind of rate I'm looking for, and they'll know. But they'd rather pay it to me than pay it to that person because that person is trying to be so hard up about it. So you got to be careful with that. Stand your ground, make good points, but don't be unreasonable. So with him, I'm like, hey, they're asking to reduce your staffing at nighttime. They don't feel like you need 2 people there at nighttime, so they're just saying just have 1. Based on what you're saying and how well the house is doing, that seems doable. You're talking about maybe, $50, $60, $70 hit a day. So it's going to be legit. I mean, that's real. But you're working on your second, third home. They've been good to you. Maybe come to a middle ground and say, yeah, okay, let's do that. But let's reduce the hours. Instead of it being 8 hours, let's do 6, because the people come in the morning, help with breakfast and showers and blah, blah, blah. And, instead of it being a $75 hit, how about like a $40 hit? They'll talk. They'll be like, okay, cool, let's do it. Because they're saving money. It's not breaking you. You know what I mean? So be flexible, be reasonable. I'm not going to let this video go over 23 minutes. I like Jordan, number 23. I'm pretty positive I missed my number talking to you guys. I'm pretty positive. Anyways, it's all love. There's another type of house, too, that you can contract for. It's like for certified homes. Now, you have to be in the game for at least a year to do certified homes, usually. Or be working with somebody who has a lot of experience. But even without a certified home, even with a licensed home, there's a way you can have member-specific rates, which just means that instead of the whole house having a contracted rate of $250 a day per bed, this particular member has just more difficult issues for whatever the case may be. Maybe it's obesity. Maybe it's they do a real heavy dialysis. You know, it could be they have high behaviors. Whatever the case may be, they're more difficult or require a higher level of staffing, like or some nursing care. So you have residents who need like 8 hours of nursing care. So maybe it's one of those residents, and you could say, we would like a member-specific rate for this person. And they'll usually do that. If they do that, usually do it for the whole house, not just that person. But actually, they do it for both. I have houses who do both. But that's when you can really get jiggy with it. That's when you can really talk to them. And you have to just be really good at talking about why you need it and what's going on with this member and how you think it's really going to benefit that member so much with the things you're putting in place, whether it's a higher level of activities, if it's modifying the house specifically for that person, if it's having that person have a one-on-one staff member, that's a big one. Whatever the case may be, you have to sell the fact that, hey, this person needs this. They're eloping all the time and running out the house. My staff can't be running out the house with them. We need some to update our doors, to do something that's more electronic, put on mag locks or magnetic locks, which is a whole different conversation. And, we need a staff member who's going to be with them when they take off, because the staff member here is here working and cooking and doing laundry, and if you could sell them on that because of the safety of the resident, you could say we needed to have like a member-specific rate for this member. And you might be able to get twice as much, for that member. You might be able to, talk them up to, on a higher end of something like that. Our people are like around $500 a day, which is great. But again, these are for members who need that type of attention, and they base that off of your like staffing level or what you're doing with the home or whatever the case may be, how much that's going to cost you. So again, if I tell them I'm paying my staff $10 an hour, then that number is completely different. Now instead of it being $500 a day, it's $325, $340, which is the rates I've had for many of my members who are challenging. But I didn't know no better back then. So you just got to rock it out with those rates. I don't go back and be like, hey, give me more money now. I'm smarter now. Like, you wasn't smart yet, so take it right. Enjoy it. So I'm going to wrap it up because I'm coming up on 23 minutes. But those are the two differences. I did want to be more specific, more transparent with things. But the $1,000 a day is key. There are members out there where you can get $350 a day, $450 a day, $550 a day, $850 a day, $1,000 a day. There are members out there like that. Believe it, please. They are not easy members. We have them. They're hard. So find the balance. Find what you can do. Find what you're experiencing. Find what you're good at. Find what you love. Take care of the people you like to take care of. And the money will come. The money will come. The bills, no matter what it is. If you have 3 people in your home, if you have 2 people in your home as far as residents go, and the max is 2 you can have, one resident's going to pay the bills, the other resident's going to be profit. Not all profit, but that's where you'll get your profit from. Same thing with 3 bedrooms. That third person, that's it. That's now if the max of your home is 4, again, you need to have 4 people to get to where you want to go financially and hit that $1,000 a day. Because the bills will, if it's $1,000 a day, you're making $30,000. The bills will come to somewhere around, a solid 20, 22. You got to still put some up. Take care of incidentals. At the end of the day, you might bring home maybe somewhere between $3,000 and $8,000 a month with your home. You could be really happy if you can make $5,000 a month out of your home. Especially if you're working it, you can make that go up. You can definitely get to the point where you're doing a better service, you're doing a better job, you're getting better at negotiating. You can definitely get that number to like $10,000 per home. So it comes with time and experience, and the residents that you can handle. So what's 24 minutes? Peace. Thanks for listening. I'll try to get to all the comments, and I'll try to bang out more videos just as simple like this. I'm trying to get a new number. Love.